Jocasta? What a new. Noob. Right. So, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Today we got a new set of Conquest feats. And we're going to do it the lazy way as always. Of course, Red Crate is super easy for a small percentage of the player base. And I hope you're able to get it easily if you want to do that. But I don't like to do it that way, at least not on my alternate account. So I do it the lazy way. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So huge shout out to my patrons. By the way, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I really couldn't do this without you. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Really, you're my heroes. Truly, no facetiousness involved. And huge shout out to the people who want to support the channel for free as well. Guys, if you want to do that, mount the algorithm with me by like, subscribe, comment. Like, subscribe, comment. I should have the AI say that to you, shouldn't I? That sounds great. And also, finally, huge shout out to the events server, specifically to Sig, who does the data mine for this and is provides it to the community for free. So this is it, all from a data mine. Of course, it's all potentially going to change, though I don't think it ever has, really. Ever since I started making these videos, they just haven't changed at all because it's very accurate and CG doesn't want to have to go back and change things. So let's get into it here, folks. We've got this amazing slideshow for you. So what does it mean to do it the lazy way? It means you only need crate 5. Red crate is crate 7, and crate 5 is the one that's 2 less than that, which with simple mathematics would have brought you to. But I'm here for those of you who are not even capable of said simple mathematics, and you can kind of see the progression of my characters after 3 months. What this does is if you get crate 5 instead of crate 7, and it's just crate 5 consistently, depending on if you get the Conquest pass or if you buy shards with your Conquest currency, your choice, you can get a character unlocked in 6 months. And so you can see I've been consistently doing this on my alternate account. My alternate account has all of the characters, and you really want to avoid getting these characters unlocked in Proving Grounds, because Proving Grounds has proven to be grounds for lots of swearing for lots of people. It's a miserable thing. You don't want to have to rely on the Proving Grounds to actually unlock these characters. So you want to unlock it after 6 months, and once you've unlocked it in 6 months, it doesn't go to Proving Ground, you have it unlocked. And you can see the proof here. I did that with Bane. That's the main example that I'm giving you here. And then Luthen after 3 months was at 200. Ezra after after 3 months, he was at 202. I don't know what the discrepancy is there with the one. And then Pointy Teeth Ray, I got her up to 201 as well after 3 months. So you can do it, folks, if you just get crate 5. It takes longer to unlock these characters, but you keep them out of Proving Grounds, and it's way easier, and you get more Datacrons this way as well. So crate 5, the kind of breakdown is you typically need 630 to get key cards to get Red Crate. To get crate 5, it's only 450 key cards, and you can get about 330 key cards from 3-starring all the nodes. I know that may be a little bit challenging on some of the bosses and stuff, but if you do get 3 stars on all of the nodes, is 330 shards, which means you only have to get 120 from Feats, which is really easy. As you guys will see, we skip a ton of them and still get there. Okay, so this is one I haven't updated for a couple times in a row, just because these data discs do come and go quite a bit. None of them have really disappeared. Some of them will disappear for one Conquest or another at some point, and we just have to make do without it. A couple of the top builds in general, like kind of the build archetypes that you want, is going to just be with either Zealous Ambition or with Amplified Agony, just kind of abusing those different mechanics. You could do it a bunch of other ways, though. There's a lot of good data discs out there. Eventually I'll update this, but I mean, I think this is a good baseline for a lot of you, at least. So going into Sector 1, and remember, we're trying to also look at the global feats, which this one, you're not going to get a lot of global feats if we're not using Galactic Legends. Remember, this guide is intended for newer players that don't have the new stuff and they don't have Galactic Legends. We're not just going to assume you have them, so we're going to use mostly old teams. I'm going to assume you've unlocked all of the characters involved. So there's a few characters, it's like, well, as long as you have them and they exist on your roster, we're going to do this feat. But otherwise, then there's going to be some advice of like, okay, well, if you have this Galactic Legend, you can use this team. But in general, we're going to skip things that require Galactic Legends or, newer characters. So that being said, we're going to ignore a lot of the bonus or the global feats, and instead we'll focus on a couple of them, but we'll focus on the sectors. So in this one, you want crit chance down. Emperor Palpatine lead with a bunch of Sith can do this really easily for you. Darth Vader can do Merciless Massacre. A lot of times he can do it a few times in a row, and every time he takes a turn with Merciless Massacre, that's a bonus turn. And then if you can also get a turn with Grand Moff Tarkin, which is a requirement character. If you have Sith Eternal Emperor, then you're going to have Tarkin at, what, Relic 3 or 7, something like that. And he just does he does the debuff AoE, like his basic, and then he has 2 AoEs. You don't want the one that does damage necessarily. You want the one that I think it's his first special, and that's crit chance down. You're gonna need 100 of those, so get cracking in Sector 1 as quickly as you can. And then resistance win. If you have Galactic Legend Ray, easy enough, but in Sector 1, you can usually, you can kind of abuse BB-8's turn meter mechanic. If you put 3 droids on the team, all the droids start with 24% turn meter, and that's usually enough to use Jedi Training Ray to kind of turn meter loop against a certain few teams, and you only have to get 10 wins. It shouldn't be too difficult if you spread them out. If you have Jedi Master Luke, pretty easy to get the potency down, and you can also, I guess the graphic doesn't say you can get Breach. His AoE does Breach. Great, wonderful. That's a great way to get Breach, if you didn't realize that. Using Breach on people gets it to you, but then you can also, if you're just constantly calling Grandmaster Yoda to assist, and he takes a ton of bonus turns anyways, just doing lots and lots of basics, he does, or at least tries to, inflict potency down, which is pretty easy. And then just ignore the Merrick one and the Qui-Gon Jinn one. Maybe you can do it pretty easy, who knows. Hu Yang you can get without having him survive, so that's why I check mark that one, and then you can usually win with all light side characters there. So pretty easy. Let's see. Sector 2. So this one is the one with crit damage down, and you get Merc wins, and you get evasion up, and you can do that all with one team. And honestly, this is the best scenario, because you don't, of all of the sectors, you spend the least time in Sector 2. Like, you get through it, and then typically you don't want to have to come back. And so if you can get 3 different feats with one team, that's pretty great. Even if you have to do 5 and then take a break and do another 5 later, it's pretty nice. And that's pretty easy. Like, they're all mercenaries. If you just take Bando and you take Han, and then Dash, I mean, you can typically, the Dash AoE gets you the crit damage down, the evasion up from Han's Shrug. It's pretty nice. And then the mercs, of course, you get passively as you win fights. And then if you have Great Mothers, if you have Night Trooper and Death Trooper Pridia, which are newer characters, you can, you don't have to have them. Marin and Zombie will do fine as the 4th and 5th, typically, especially in Sector 2 when the characters aren't that fast or crazy strong. But If you do happen to have Night Trooper, Death Trooper Pridia, that team is pretty easy, and I didn't mark it as something you should have because Great Mothers are pretty new. I would recommend generally working on them because not only are they unlock characters for a really strong legendary character in Balin Skull, you're also just getting a really nice team that is kind of God mode for PvE and then really strong in PvP as well. So do yourselves a favor. Sector 3, this one is so Stap is a tricky guy because what a disappointment. First off, he's kind of a newer character, so you don't we're also just saying we're not gonna get that one, but he's also just easy to kill and he has to survive for this feat to work. So I mean, I think the team I'd want to use is BB-8 because you start with a bunch of turn meter with that team because BB-8 gives you 8% turn meter per droid on the team. And if you start with 5 droids on the team, that's 40% turn meter. Typically in Sector 3, that's fast enough for everyone to go first, and you can get that turn meter train going, but you never know with Stap, and people tend to target Stap quite a bit, and this build doesn't have a tank. I guess BB-8 tanks sometimes if you have the, is it a Zeta or an Omega on him, whatever, but you really can't count on that. Otherwise, so speed down, there's a ton of characters who do speed down. Phasma's one that I didn't list, but you could use with like a first order team, but then I think the one that I would typically recommend is the one with Seer and just a bunch of light side unaligned force users. You can use Cal and hit like baby Cal and his AoE that does 5, and then with Jedi Training Rey doing her hand wave, that's a 6th, and that's fairly easy. And then otherwise you can also do like a Darth Revan, like kind of just weird Sith team, and Darth Vader, who was used in Sector 1 quite a bit, is hopefully able to then, every time he does his AoE, he does speed down on everyone. So pretty easy. Bastila does her AoE and that inflicts speed down on people as well. Pretty easy to get the speed down one. And then the Captain Rex teams, you can either use General Skywalker and take Arc out of it, or you can use your Phoenix. Either one is actually pretty strong. So otherwise we're gonna skip We Adapt or Die. I believe that one is the Iden Versio one. And then of course skipping Stap as well. So we're only getting 22 key cards in Sector 3, which is kind of sad, honestly, compared to what we normally can get, but Sector 4 kind of makes up for it. We can get 3 of them. The one we're going to skip is Accuracy Down, because unless you have the new Kenobi, the Padawan Obi-Wan Omicron, this one is really tough to get. Or I mean, or if you have Inquisition. Inquisition isn't, I don't like to assume that people are going to have Inquisitors, frankly, because they are so tough to get, and the Lightspeed bundle is just, it's $50. A lot of people who will spend $10 on the game aren't going to spend 50 to get Inquisition. So I know Inquisition, and then once you get Grand Inquisitor unlocked, then you have to get Riva, and it's just a whole mess. So we don't assume that people have it, but Inquisition, get it pretty easily with the accuracy down. We'll skip that one though, and then otherwise we're just going to, like, we could get droid kills with the Grievous team, again abusing that 40% turn meter from BB-8, and this time we're not keeping Stap in there because he's kind of just not as good as the rest of them. And then accuracy up, Seer does it on her basic, and you can get a lot of turns with her. Honestly, you just do basic, you can get 5 to 7 every time, especially if you put Commander Ahsoka Tano in there to call her to assist and hand her the turn. So it'll be something like Commander Ahsoka Tano, or Seer takes a turn, Commander Ahsoka Tano hands her another turn, and then she does another basic, and you know, you get 3 right in a row. Sometimes you need to do, don't just let your team be deleted by doing only basics. Sometimes you're gonna need to not do a basic just to give everyone bonus protection or whatever. But then the Night Trooper and Enoch wins. That one is, I mean, I just put Dash with Vandor and L3 because they typically, they can a lot of times beat, depending on what your data chips are, you can a lot of times beat whatever enemy is there with just those 3. And then Enoch and Night Trooper can just die if they have to, and you can still get that one. That one I did put a check mark down because you can typically find one team that you can just spam this on. And it starts becoming important in sectors 3 and 4 to start getting these 10s, as opposed to in sectors 1 and 2, you can just skip the 1s and 2s like Sector 1 and 2, you can skip the 5s quite a bit because there are only 5 key cards. It's not much, but the 10s you want to put a little more effort into. And then finally, Sector 5, this one is very important to work on. So if you have Jedi Master Luke, you can get the kills with Jedi Cal Kestis because you can just call him to assist every time and just get 5 kills every single fight a lot of times. If you can't do that, if you don't have Jedi Master Luke, Cal doesn't do much damage, and you're not going to reliably kill things with him unless it's like 1 per fight, where if you survive long enough for him to get his like little execute or hit down. Otherwise, probably not worth the effort, frankly. Otherwise, evasion down is pretty easy from Jedi Cal. He can do his AoE, and that does evasion down for people. The American Shin wins. That's the exact same thing as the Enoch and Night Trooper wins. You just need 3 guys to get the kill with them. You know, it doesn't have to be Dash. It can be Supreme Leader Kylo or whatever. And then Phoenix wins. If you have Captain Rex, then this is pretty easy, actually. And I mean, we already had one sector that we needed wins with Captain Rex anyways. If you have your Phoenix developed, or if you bought the Phoenix Lightspeed bundle a while ago for like $10, then you're just mostly good to go. Of course, you probably prefer to have at least the Kanan Zeta at that point, and probably the Zeta on Rex as well, but Sector 5, of course, can be a little tricky, but at this point, if you have the right data chips, you should be able to get pretty far in that. Global Feats, this one is the one we're skipping a lot on, because if you don't have Inquisition, then you can't get one of them. If you Inquisition are kind of God mode in Conquest, so this is really easy for people who do have Inquisition. And similarly, Imperial Remnants, I'm just not assuming people have it. My alt at 10 million doesn't have it. You probably don't have it either. Crit chance down, we talked about that with Tarkin. Of course, you don't have to get this one. There's a ton of just kind of wiggle room that you can just kind of skip this if you've done well on the other feats, and that's not one you have to do. I did put a check mark on it. And then Night Sisters, if you have the old school like Talzin team with Marin on it, you by like Sector 2, I typically have this one done. Like, they're so easy to just, even if they only have like 1% stamina, they can just destroy a lot of teams, depending on what your data chips are. Again, with all the debuffs and stuff that they do, they're just so resilient and good, guys. Night Sisters, I think, are one of the top 5 early teams people should be working on, and I think Night Sisters are definitely, I mean, obviously one of those. So, you know, light side Mandalorians, if you don't have Bo-Katan, you're probably not going to get it, but I mean, this one, just get crit chance down and Night Sisters and call it a day, because you can get the rest from the other sectors. So if you kind of add all of these together, the ones that I put check marks on, you can get a total of 194. Of course, so like I said, you'll need 120 of them to get to crate 5, so you can pick and choose. I mean, dropping 74 worth key cards worth of feats is what a luxury. How easy. I mean, it's pretty easy to get this, guys. Even if you only have old teams, even if you're getting back into the game after like 2 years, you should pretty easily be able to do this, I think. So just a real quick note on Datacron farming. So you can find Datacron infographics on my Discord server in the infographics channel, and I have a small little thumbnail on the top above my head there showing you guys the latest one, but you guys can go get that one for free. There's also a video that I will probably be linking on this at the end of this video. You can go just click on that to see what the Datacron, what's going on with this current Datacron set. And just as a generalized thing, I'm not going to read this whole page to you, just as a generalized helping thing, like you know, where do you farm the Nucrons? Where do you typically farm the mats? You know, all that stuff. Hopefully this is just a quick cheat sheet for you to be able to figure out what you want to do with Datacrons. If you don't want to play with Datacrons, that's fine. There's no pressure. I just think that they enhance the game. And if you want to play to your fullest potential, Datacrons tend to be one of the ways you can get there. So I'm going to call it here, guys. Let me know, is there any feat that I missed that would be like way easier to get with using a different team? I would love to hear it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails. And I hope you do too, guys. Take care.